Hey, how's it going, Wells? I am just getting into portals myself. Gotta close out of some tabs, man. I don't know anybody else that uses Chrome, but I'm just a tab whore.
Here you
And the struggle's real, man. I've even got like a extension thing that helps, but it doesn't help. I've got problems. And it sucks too, 'cause like Chrome, I mean, Chrome as a browser eats memory. It's crazy. Alright, is that gonna close on me? Alright, cool. I think that worked. Let's jump in here. Hopefully you guys are doing good. Hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving that celebrates. It's funny. There's actually a lot of folks that I deal with that are Canadian that would say Happy Thanksgiving to me. So I'd say it back, and then one person was like, "Dude, our Thanksgiving was back in October," and I'm like, "Oh, well, I didn't even. I honestly didn't know that like they celebrated Thanksgiving, which is quite funny." So I learned that Canadian Thanksgiving is October 9th, I believe. So. Fun fact for anyone else here, if you get a trivia question,
go. You didn't know that?
October 9th. I did not know that.
You're crazy.
I know I'll sound like a scrub, so be it. You
You are.
guys can wreck me for it, it's fine.
Wreck me, daddy.
Oh, Brink changed his name. Brink's actually Brink. I might as well put audio on in Portals too. But yeah, just got connected in there. Give everyone maybe a couple minutes to jump in here. Looks like we've got a solid crew. This week, I mean, hasn't been too crazy, thank God. It's just been well, I should say from like our side from a development standpoint, raffles have been an absolute crazy fest. For those of you that have participated or I'm sure have seen the videos and pictures and threads and just crazy, crazy, crazy. It's very interesting too to see, um, this kind of being another meta that I don't know if you would consider us like creating it or amplifying it or what have you. I mean, we definitely had started raffles. I don't even know when we started them up months ago, um, but in just the current market, just seems to be the thing that people want, which is very interesting. So it's been quite fun. It's been challenging. There's been a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people have seen, and I really, really, really appreciate some folks that are in here, some folks that are not in here for helping out with the questions, be it, simple, difficult things of just pushing people over to us too has been really helpful. We certainly have had a quite the influx of folks coming in, asking questions, learning about foxes, buying into foxes, which I think is great. We've had quite an uptick in new foxes coming in, some for raffles, some for other reasons. But it's been quite the week, which has been fun. So shout out to my foxes. But yeah, I've got so I'll jump right into our updates. Again, like I said, not too crazy this week. Earlier really just updated a few items on raffle. I think one thing we ever so folks that are familiar with our raffle history, and I actually got pressed on like some pretty tough questions today by somebody that I won't really name them, but um, the system at its absolute core is like extremely difficult to police to like the absolute um, tiniest factor on things. There's, of course, a lot of solutions that people will throw out on how to kind of improve things, such as people buying into their own raffles and such. Um, it gets challenging, I think, the more you look at it. The best direction that I usually give to people, and I know there's a guide out there as well for raffles, is really to assume a raffle is going to sell out. And if you're okay with those odds of buying however many tickets you want to, then that's where I would, say, then buy into it at that point. Obviously not financial advice, but there have been a lot of people that are like, oh, this person won with one ticket, or this account, had kind of bought back through these other ones and got flagged after. It's tough for us to determine, when that's going to happen. It's impossible, actually. Um, and even a solution like the one that was kind of thrown my way of, oh, okay, well, if an account gets flagged, just refund everybody. It turns into the game then if not enough tickets sell, person buys one ticket, everyone gets refunded, so the raffle like will not end up never going. But if the odds make sense for people to buy into it, then even if someone does technically buy into their raffle 20% or what have you, I mean, there's still an 80% chance they're going to lose. So if the odds are decent for people to enter into it, then it just makes sense. So that's where, I mean, I would just say for anyone that is participating in raffles, just keep the odds in mind. I know ours is quite a bit different for our monthly raffle, which we'll talk about later, but it's just worth mentioning for folks because it's quite difficult for us to get a lot of questions on of like, oh, these raffles get flagged, this, that, and the other thing, and we do the best that we can. We try to add transparency. We have Twitter's linked for you to check out DD. We're working on actually kind of adding in a few more things to help out with DD that I think people will be pretty excited for. And yeah, I mean it's definitely a different experience. You'll win some, you lose some. As long as again the odds are you're comfortable with, I would say, then feel free to participate in them. We did also add a badge for folks that have created. It's a very kind of like simple little golden ribbon badge, if you will, that will show up next to the person's name when you click on a raffle. So that just lets folks know that like they're within the top 10 folks on our leaderboard of raffle creators. Um, you know, if nothing else, to kind of add a little bit more like clout for those individuals and just to kind of let people know, who they are and if you ever have like kind of questions and things, they're highly visible within the space. We did identify two from a volume standpoint, I believe it is. There were like some earlier on raffles that were created with Dust, and since Dust's price has been very volatile, it does kind of shift people in and out of the top 10. I would say kind of like regularly. So we're looking at trying to figure out a way of, I would say, like more normalizing that, either based off of like the day that it closed or something along those lines. It's a little bit tricky just because we kind of retroactively compare the total amount of raise in Sol if the token itself that was used, Dust in this example, was converted all the time. So it's one thing that we're talking about fixing that way it doesn't happen as frequently as it does. Then we also added in how rare and moon rank to NFTs. So if they're available, but they show up right on top, right on the bottom, I should say, but on top of the actual NFT. So as you're scrolling through, you'll just see the individual rankings that are associated and their little icons for them. So just again to add a little, in case people are kind of wondering why, a raffle might have a higher price associated to it, just could be based off of rarity. Um, let's see, we also have unclaimed raffles, have a claim alert for creators, so that way folks can go in and claim. Someone was asking earlier that I'm definitely going to bump Dev about just to kind of get his opinion on it, but that when folks claim from raffle, they claim wrapped soul. Now, to the point that I understand it is that wrapped soul basically is just a way for you to be able to use soul for things. Raffles is an example of that same thing. So basically, it wraps it as you're going to purchase the tickets, and then that wrapped soul can then be sent back to the individual that had created it. I believe that's to reduce friction for the way in which the tool the way in which tickets are purchased. Sorry for that. Um, but I'm gonna check with Dev to see if there isn't a process where when that's claimed, if it can then not just be reconverted from wrapped soul to regular soul. So someone had brought that up earlier, but just worth mentioning that I'm gonna ask about that as well. I also had someone DM me that I thought was quite interesting. May or may not be useful for folks. I've actually seen a couple people have posted pictures them actually using it, but with our snapshot tool, before when it was first created, and again, it wasn't created super long ago. It was created with the intention to be able to grab all of the individual holders for collections based off of the creator or the Candy Machine ID. We went one step further of allowing folks to snapshot holders of specific attributes. So you can grab a specific attribute that you want to find holders for. As an example, our beloved Cope DAO. If you want to grab all of the individual Cope DAO foxes, you certainly can, and it just makes it quite easy for you to be able to just go in and grab a snapshot of those individual holders. That way, if you want to distribute tokens, distribute some kind of rewards, send out, some kind of a message or what have you to individual holders, just try to make it that much easier for folks to go in and do. So just wanted to throw that out there. I thought that was pretty awesome. I don't believe anybody else has anything like that. So I think it's pretty unique, but also I've seen some folks use it for some, real world case scenarios for other projects, which is pretty cool. And then last quality of life update that I have is on our boombox front. So we've had like a pretty decent like dev push for a few items there, primarily like around the activity and such that we've done recently, and just to kind of add a little bit of transparency around purchases and sells and all that fun stuff. So one of the requests that we've also had was MP4 support. And so we've added that in there. Now, there have been questions around a couple of items associated with MP4s. We're still looking at ways of perhaps having like an MP4 loop if it's just a video, and then you can have an audio that's kind of attached to it. So that way, if you have a full song, it might just be a MP4 that kind of loops through. That's assuming that it's not like short enough to be a GIF. It's long enough to be something bigger. And the file size restriction for MP4s, I should say, is 100 megabytes. So for anyone that is planning on creating MP4s, just know that that is your limit for creating MP4s, 100 megabytes. So quite a large file, which is pretty awesome. I think when folks were creating GIFs or just images, I think the limit was 10 megabytes. I hear someone come off mute. Is there a question with that? Or I might have just got feedback. All right, cool. I'll assume it's feedback. That's not a problem. Um, all right, let's see. Yeah, Snapshot tool came out this week, so that's pretty awesome. CC, I'm just gonna mute you real quick. Sorry. Um, and let's see. Yeah, missions went out today, so just to kind of run through those, actually I have to relaunch one of mine. Crown level 32 plus on a solo, and then headband level 32 plus as well for a solo. So quite a good mix between a common and rare, or common and epic, I should say. Then for duos, we have Halo and Angel Den. One Halo and one Angel Den. Halo level 34 plus. Two Scarf Sweater Turtlenecks level 30 plus. Then we had two Copes level 32 plus with a Cope Den, and two Beard Stash with a level 34 plus and a Beard Den. The one thing that was pointed out too that we'll have to look at is from the level restriction side on these ones, they are lower. We're between 30 and 34 for the total set that we put out. And folks were asking kind of about not folks, but in the back end side, the amount of fame that's associated with them. It is kind of based off of those individual levels. So, in theory, I think we probably should have bumped a couple of these up in a levels perspective. So then that way there'd be additional fame that folks can get. But I just wanted to add that out there from like a transparency note that um, definitely hear you on that, and we'll consider that going forward for missions. So that way folks have more of an opportunity to get fame, versus kind of keeping in that 32 to 34 range, as we have over 1,500 T1s, or tier ones. So there's plenty of foxes that are 40 plus or might be interested in getting up to 40 plus. And then I think the last major thing that I have, and then to kind of open it up honestly for discussion, anything you guys have, and then do our little weekly giveaway, of which feeling extra thankful today. So I think we're gonna be getting a good bit of folks in there for prizes. Um, the monthly raffle. So we have had a fantastic month. And if nothing else, this past week has been really, really good to us, especially in like the current overall market. So we really wanted to kind of give back, as a portion. And the funny thing too is we were talking about, do we do kind of like a regular raffle, this month and then kind of go all out for Christmas? I think we'll probably end up doing something bigger for Christmas, personally, just because of how things have been going. So for this monthly raffle, it's over 500 soul worth of NFTs. Um, we have a picture that has the full different NFTs that are in there. I actually have a list that I could bring up that might be a little bit easier to digest. Um, so yeah, starting off from the top to the bottom, we've got five lilies, three ovolos from Elixir, two soul gods, three critter cults, two galactic space geckos. We've got five helions, two degen fat cats, one portal ivory. We should have 10 pop heads in there. We got two of the Xeno drops. So we have an underwater place and a Martian place. We have four famous foxes, and then we have a Claynosaur as well. So I should put that in there. So it's going to be interesting because the Clano, I think, reveals tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So that could change the pricing up quite a bit on here, depending on what we ended up picking up. So it's worth kind of checking out there. But let me see how many prizes in that in total. Yeah, 43 just NFTs. I know we put in here as well that will include, let's see what else we have. Some gems, rooms, and Foxy. Just kind of like we've done in the past for our traditional monthly raffles. This hasn't, by the way, impacted. We haven't changed any rates for our normal drops and such from chests. This is purely just us adding on top of what we normally do, to give back essentially to the community. And it is holder only. It's based for FFF, TFF, DENS, and friends and foes. So if you own any of those four pieces, you can enter in to the raffle. And what I did also put in here as a asterisk note, the person that wins the actual raffle. So I set it up as a normal raffle. Dev's still going to go through and give out all the rest of the prizes in Discord and in the normal monthly raffle giveaway fashion that he has. If you haven't been here before for it, it's usually done under events. He'll just go through and just start giving away folks prizes from the raffle based off of who's entered into it. But the person that does win the placeholder piece that we put in there that just shows you the total raffle that we have there that's over 500 soul. We are going to be sending you the FFF. It's number 437 and it is the very first one in that picture. It's got the light ivory bucket hat, or the ivory bucket hat. I don't want to put light on there. And that's gonna be the fox that you're gonna win. So there will be one person that wins from the actual raffle itself, and we'll send you that fox. Everyone else is gonna win the other 42 NFTs plus other items that we give through Discord. So definitely worthwhile to kind of check that out. And it's 5,000 tickets, 1,000 Foxy each. Current stats on it, because I have it up here. Wow. So we broke 1,000 plus tickets sold so far. So we've done 1,023, if I'm not mistaken. So 1,000 tickets have sold out of 5,000 total, which is Pretty solid. Uh, Yeah, I think the last piece in here, th this was just from my side, of just being kind of thankful, essentially for our community. Like I know I opened it up a little bit with the idea that, this meta of raffles has kind of just really taken off over the past, couple of weeks. It's always kind of been there, and it's been a bit of a pain of just like dealing with some more of like the scammy folks. But I think over the past couple of weeks, I mean, we've had a good bit of organic volume come in. And it's been quite fun. I've gotten DMs from people that I would not have expected to get DMs from, which is quite fun. And then just seeing like some people post different videos and things. It's very interesting to see how well of a trusted brand we have in this space. And then once there starts to just be like an audience that exists there for a tool that we've created, and people are just, honestly having a good time. I kind of look at it as having fun. Um, degenerate fun, of course, but fun nonetheless. It's just really fun to see from my angle how much it just like takes off organically. So the past couple of weeks have been quite wild. So I just wanted to, just put a general thank you out there for folks from the community side. Again, for dealing with questions, especially for new folks coming in. Doesn't even have to be for raffles. It could be for staking foxes, for missions, for whatever. The one guy today I was being a little bit of a troll with, but right before voice chat, where he was like, "Why is the TFF price so high?" I'm like, "Why is Klano at 28? Why are D gods at 300? Like, it's supply and demand." I don't know what other kind of answer folks really expect for that. Um, but nonetheless, just wanted to give a shout out to folks in here. It's been really appreciated. All right, cool. I think someone on server muted CC, so guess you got your mic situation under control. So I'll open it up for questions if folks have. And honestly, I'm an open book, so I should say too, it's worthwhile. We didn't put it in chats. We did close out the chat channel for uh, what do we call it? He dropped it so far in this list. Mission restructuring. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I'll be working on drafting up like a proposal for that this week, and then we'll workshop it a bit and hopefully maybe start up a vote for it come next Sunday, so a week from now. And I'm sure we'll probably chat more about it. I'll probably do a later VC for that next week. That way we can have a good chat on that too in here if folks have questions. But I'll open the floor back up if anyone has anything. If not, I'm guessing you guys all just come here to try and get free stuff, which is cool. Well, don't mind me as I jump in portals. Say that again. Yeah, great question. So, depending on the item that you order, we have a vendor that we use for our merch. So, our mugs, shirts, hoodies, and I feel like I'm missing something there. But I think, yeah, our mugs, shirts, hoodies. That's done through W3W, which is our vendor that we have for our merch items. And then if you win the metal ink, that's through a completely separate shop where they handle the orders and everything. I just have folks send their token to it, and then they send the token back to us for payment. NFT graphics, they kind of run their whole shop via Discord. Slabs, they also run their stuff via their own website, so it's separate from us. Um, and I'm sure there's somebody else that I'm missing, but yeah, so the actual wearables you order through our site. Anything else that's not a wearable or a mug, I should say, you order through the other native sites for them. Hopefully that answers your question too. I guess if you have a follow-up to it, let me know. Sure. The orange origin room itself, like for the den. I'm sorry, can you say that again? Yeah, but the rooms for the dens, right? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Okay. I'm getting perfect. Thank you for muting yourself. Just 'cause I was getting a little bit of feedback. So Orange Origins rooms themselves, you can pop into our token market to see what their current market value is. They act as a wild card when you put them into a den. So that den essentially kind of functions the same as a one for one and can be used in any mission that exists out there. So that's like the powerful function, if you will, for the Orange Origin Room. That's kind of why they do have a decent price tag on them, as well as any den that's listed with an Orange Origin Room. It usually comes at a premium price because of that. Having said that, there are other unique rooms that we had created for other DAOs that are a very rare drop to get via missions as well that do the same kind of function. So the Orange Origin Room itself was given out for folks that had staked a Fox over a period of time that we had set up last year. And anyone that had Foxes staked, we actually only did it as one per wallet, not one per Fox. But we had sent out the Orange Origin Rooms to those individual wallets. So basically, if you have a den, you can go put your den under construction, add the Orange Origin Room to it, and then essentially use that den as a wild card in missions. So that's like the main functionality that I would say for an Orange Origin Room that exists. That's correct. Yeah, and one week it can go for a captain mission, the next week can go for an alien mission, the week after it can go for a pirate mission. It's very powerful. Sure. And its price is reflected that way too. I mean, at the end of the day, not that I'm going to tell you you should sell it, but I don't know the price they're going for right now. My guess is that they're anywhere between 15-ish sol, if not more than that. I think I have token market up, but just so that folks know, let's see, Orange Origin Room. I don't know if we have any listed. Oh, we do. Floor's 13, 13 sol on it right now. There's five total listed. 13, 15, 20, 42, and 100. So, but that's where kind of their pricing comes into just because they're quite powerful. But great question. Anyone else? Not a. Yeah, sure can. I heard you for a second. No worries. Yeah, no. So the way that our raffle works for our monthly raffles is we usually give all the prizes out in our Discord. Um, since the way that I created this one, I created it on our actual raffle platform. Um, the one person is going to get like that placeholder graphic. We're gonna send them a Fox as well. So like that placeholder graphic means nothing. But that just tells us who actually won that individual graphic. All the rest of the prizes will give them out in Discord next Sunday after the raffle closes, or after the ability to buy tickets closes. So what you want to do is, yeah, you want to buy tickets into that. I'm sorry, I know yeah, someone's on mute. That's okay. Um, Yeah, so all the winners will be picked from that total pool of 5,000 tickets. So you want to buy, yeah, you want to buy one of those tickets. There's only going to be one winner from that drawing. The rest of them are going to be pulled from the folks that buy into that raffle. Sure. Yeah, apologize if that didn't seem clear enough, and if folks think that I should change it up to make it more clear. I mean, since there's over 1,000 tickets sold, I'm hopeful that folks understand it. But getting a question like that makes me feel like I could probably improve the way I've worded it. Perfect. Yep, I appreciate that, and I will. Sure. Let me see here. Looks like I've got a ping in chat. When 3D Foxes and why are TFFs such an obvious scam? Great question, Newt. First question is from 3D Foxes. We've gotten all of the assets delivered. The main issue we have run into, aside from holiday shenanigan things going on, is actually a server limit for uploading the files from that we've gotten into Google Drive in order for us to go through and do a quality test on them. I have a list in front of me of, I think it's 43. I think it's 40, it's around 43 to 45 boxes that have all the combinations of different traits and such for us to just do a quality check of. So just as an example, like dark armor, actually that's mine, but dark armor with Centurion helmet. But then we've got like a cope on cope, and then like a pirate eye and a blep mouth, which I know most folks aren't a fan of. I think you especially. Um, but yeah, so I've got a list of about 43-ish foxes that are in here for us to go through and do a quality check once we get them all successfully uploaded. What I can say, as I'm sure some folks probably had seen pictures or videos and such, but there is like a dev tool that is created in a way that you can test out avatars in portals. So we have access to that, and yeah, so it just comes down to us getting everything uploaded successfully into our drive area where we can then port them over in a way we can do quality tests. But what I will say is that they are delivered, just quality check, and then a rollout for them. So my hope is to be completely done in quality check by Wednesday, and then we'll have to figure out what our rollout strategy is for getting them out to folks. But I will caveat that with I don't know how ready Portals is for us to give at least the access to use them in Portals. But you still will be able to get like the GLB file or FBX file to do whatever you would like to do with them as well. So we have to figure out exactly how that's going to work from a server storage and you guys downloading them and all that kind of fun stuff. And then eventually we'll get like the official way that folks can log into portals and use them from portals, which will be pretty fun. Question from Alkine: 3D Fox is going to be tier 0 or tier 1, 2, 3. Right now they are tier 0, and and don't even ask Dev about tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 for 3D Foxes. Uh, it's been a journey to get tier 0. That's what I will say. Um, but and then that's what I'll leave it at that. So for right now, tier 0. My personal opinion, the way in which I see the space kind of trending over the next, I don't even know if I'd say a year. I think metaverse things are going to be of more interest to people, and I think that's going to then, I don't necessarily want to phrase it in a negative way, but create competition around companies that are in the 3D avatar space to make life easier for projects to have 3D avatars. I think us being one of the first in a fashion that we have them generative and usable, or they will be usable in multiple metaverses, is a very tricky push for us to do in a time when no one else is really doing it. But over the next year-ish, I think there will be different tools out that will make life easier. And it's a long way of me saying that I think eventually tier one, tier two, tier three will be a thing. But I don't foresee that being within a short future from right now. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just, I mean, looking at how it's gonna, I mean, in my opinion, who knows, right? I mean, yeah, people would ask me the other day about like buying different things. I'm like, yeah, if I knew what the price action was going to be on something, like we wouldn't be talking. But that's kind of my general opinion. Question from Claw Cheezels. Uh, will 3D Foxes have pants? Um, I think the only ones that have pants are astronauts because of the full body suit. I'm I'm running through my mind, but I would treat foxes like like I treat one of the few cartoons that my daughter likes, which is Bluey, which is kind of funny for anyone that hasn't seen Bluey. There are some scenes in which they have pants, but for the most part they don't have pants because they are dogs, and that's always kind of perplexed me from that show. But yeah, for the most part, they will not have pants. Oh, sweet. Let me go reload my portals. Thanks, Brink. Sorry about that. Bear with me for a sec. I think I gotta close more tabs. All right, hopefully I'm back in now. Um, the one thing that is quite fun too, for those of you that are at all interested in the World Cup, um, we're I think currently placed second. I have not changed my team since like it began. I use an auto picker. I take absolutely no credit for how well we're doing there. However, I at least made it. I think there's a little bit of salt around it, but it's perfectly fine. But if anybody is interested, there is a thread on Alpha around the World Cup, so feel free to jump in there and check it out. And if there is, apparently it's unlimited like swaps. I don't really know how fantasy things work. I really don't do fantasy sports at all. So if anybody is at all in touch with the World Cup and is interested at trying to help, feel free to go for it. We've got a pretty solid gap, I think, between second and third, and we're pretty close with first. So doing overall pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is quite funny, Faker. I appreciate that. I mean I know you guys know at least from coming to our uh, VCs. I'm big on RNG. Like, you know, call me kind of crazy from like back in the day, RuneScape days of not knowing what you're gonna get for like hits and stuff in combat, and just like trying to improve your chances for them. But you know, maybe it's the degen side of me or what have you, but RNG is just it just feels right, and for us to be doing, yeah, yeah, no, that's that it's exact. I mean, it's weird how it works that way, and it's actually quite funny because I know some people probably had seen me post it before, but like I put on the wall upstairs like the harder you work, the luckier you get, and that comes down to like the same thing for like in RNG. Like it's not necessarily the harder you work at doing RNG things, but it just seems like uh, RNG definitely has a favor for things that I've done in the past, which is quite wild. I got a question from Baked Beaver in Discord. Are foxes being minted or are we getting a duplicate of the FFF we own? Baked, if you don't mind to extrapolate on that, is that specifically around the 3D foxes? Yeah, so the way that's going to work, they're basically going to be tied together. It's not going to be a separate mint. Um, so there'll be some way of I'll say unlocking or the ability for you to go through and like download from our site for the ones that you can mess around in like Adobe Aero, etc. But then when it comes down to utilizing them in portals, the main plan is to get to a place in which you connect your wallet, you already have your foxes in your wallet, you get to pick which fox you want to be in portals and it just loads you in as that box. So that way, it adds that level of ownership, which I think is like critical when it comes down to NFTs. No one else can join portals as your fox. Um, which I think is quite important for us. No bozo dumping. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can't, and again, I think that's part of what I was saying earlier. I can't guarantee us like how ready Portals is going to be to implement that with us. But what I can say is that there has been like an elevated level of interest with like Portals wanting to help us, primarily because we do our weekly VCs in Portals. Like we're very well integrated within the platform. Brink spends like most of his free time in Portals decorating it which looks fantastic. But really there aren't many others that are using portals as heavy. And I know they have some like recent updates that are coming out I think that they've talked about at least on Spaces. Chris was talking about it the other day on the Morning Mint show, which are pretty awesome. I think it's going to get some more people into portals, um, but yeah, so that's a long way of me saying that I'm not sure how ready Portals is going to be for us once we get up to that point. And so, once we do our quality checks, then we'll work on making sure that there's an easy way, and I'm going to use air quotes on that, to get Foxes integrated into Portals. 69 hours per week. Hell yeah. Soon commented, "You see the guy that said raffles are like loot boxes in COD? I have not, and I'm not sure I'm familiar with that either." Another question from Bake Beaver. Any plans to add any extra benefit slash utility for higher scoring dens? I have a den with orange origin room, so I don't have really much need to fill the other two slots for the time being. Um, as it stands right now, we haven't thought into like that gamified way. We're still more so working on building out the structure for missions to kind of expand up, which again is part of the restructuring vote that we'll kind of talk about or push out hopefully come Sunday. Um, so yeah, so I think after that, I mean, dens themselves, I mean, they are inherently rare because there's only 3,000-ish of them. There's a couple that exist um, within Friends and Foes collection, but but they're quite powerful when it comes down to the number of missions, and we have had a decent amount of missions that do require dens to go on them as well. So that's where I would say, there is still a good bit of value that I would say is associated with dens because of that, because of their scarcity side. So nothing in particular um, at this point in time, but I would never say never because we're always looking at kind of expanding out the gamification that we've created so far within our ecosystem. Yeah. Said you fix raffles and give one ticket winners win so they buy more. It's hilarious. Yeah, I'd be kind, I mean, it wouldn't make too much sense to me, but if people had created like 20 or 30 accounts and just buy one raffle ticket off of each, like the odds will end up being the same, um, which is funny. Okay. Yeah, it looks like in Federation, WRD had posted, I guess, a video from Fungi's back in early November, and some people, yeah, had posted some other clips from them for 3D Foxes. Sorry, I think I probably should have included that in there. And I got pinged a bit in alpha outside of Snorlax butts. What do we have in here? Okay, thanks, Quay. Okay, 3D Foxes we got. Yeah, Biscuit had asked the question, unique room counts. Is the amount in the market the total amount released? Only 50 of each room be released. I don't remember if, so we originally had created it, I believe, as 50. I think we've changed that. I think we've dropped it quite a bit. Um, so I would say at most it's going to be 50. But I believe it's supposed to be less than that. I can double check on that information and be sure to ping you back. And then yeah, it looked like Newt was asking me that function was DMing me, um, asking legit question why is scam TFF so expensive. That's funny. Let's see. Two questions from Biscuit. How to jump outside the portal's window. Sorry, I'm not sure if someone else is helping you out with that too, Biscuit. Basically, you go to the second window. You try to look outside. There's like a little block out there, and just basically spam L, and you can try and like go back and forth too until you do pop through. It's a little bit challenging, but once you get it, you'll kind of get the hang of it. And yeah, it looks like you also asked again about the 50 count. All right, cool. Yeah, looks like I got all the questions in there. Let's see if anything else popped up in VC here. Why is TFF so expensive? Is that going to be like a trending thing now? Is everyone just going to post that? Should we make that our questive instead? All right. Well, I'll have to have some fun with that later then. All right, here. Let's see. Let me connect my wallet here. All right. So I think I answered all the questions. If there are any other questions, do feel free to ask me.